Clemson's usually perfect. Now they've got to be perfect. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Clemson Tigers. We've got Jason Priester on the line. You can catch him on allclemson.com on the SI platform for Clemson football. Jason, how are we doing today?
I'm all right. How about yourself, Mark? I appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely. Love breaking down the games, and we're going with the Clemson purple today. All right, Jason, Trevor Lawrence, it's been assumed that he would move on to the next level after this season. Still, he would like to enjoy his final go-around with Clemson, would like to play some football eventually and get back on the field, of course, and lead this team to a championship. He was asked again this week about his decision and your thoughts about his response.
Yeah, I think he's getting a little tired of being asked about that. That was as close to being aggravated as I've ever seen Trevor Lawrence was when he was asked about it yesterday. But he's kind of opened himself up to some of this stuff. You know, before the season, he made a comment, something like, the mindset's always been to leave after 3 years, or the plan's always been to leave after 3 years. And then a couple of weeks ago, he was asked about it, and he says, you never know what might happen. So he kind of opened himself up to some of it. I mean, and he's going to be the top pick most likely. So comes with the territory. He knows it. But yeah, yesterday he got a little aggravated. He said he was tired of talking about it. He told the media they were not going to paint him in or bait him into saying something that painted him into a corner, and he tried to shut it down best he could. We'll see how it works.
Well, I got to think that in his dealings with the media, this might be the first adversity he's faced, and it's mild adversity. It's all good. It's all based on his great performance and being this high of a draft prospect. It's not a negative. He didn't do anything wrong, but obviously he's done basically perfection on the field, and so is his team. And so that's been most of the talk surrounding Trevor Lawrence. And now he's got to face all these draft questions and whether he's going to leave, whether he's going to stay. And he wants to focus on football, focus on this particular team, and then let the draft play out the way it will after what we all assume is going to be his decision. Trevor Lawrence has missed what have turned out to be the two biggest challenges of the year. Of course, the comeback win against Boston College, and then the trip to Notre Dame that ended in overtime defeat. A lot of comments were made, of course, about if Trevor would have played, Clemson would have won. No one knows that. I think that if DJ would have gone out there and thrown 3 interceptions and gone 15 for 42, then we could make some pretty strong assumptions that that would be the case. But Uiagalelei played an exceptional game. Now, did he play the perfect game? No, nobody does. But no picks and 44 pass attempts, threw for 439. Is there any way to dissect it down to a T and say, well, maybe Trevor would have given us this much more in these particular situations?
No, not really. I mean, DJ threw for however many yards it was. That was the most Notre Dame's ever allowed in a game ever, passing yards. I mean, it's hard to say Lawrence was going to do better than that. The only thing that I would say is the quarterback run. That's one thing that Lawrence brings to the table that we didn't see the other night. There's no way the Clemson coaches were going to open up DJ possibly getting hurt. He was already dealing with a banged-up shoulder. There's no depth behind him. There was just no way they were going to take their chances and run him much. And we saw that. I think he ran 2 or 3 times maybe. But, I mean, that's the only real thing you can say as far as Lawrence playing, is they would have had to account for the QB run. But I don't think it would have made much of a difference. I mean, Clemson couldn't run the ball, period. Offensive line couldn't open up holes. I mean, and it don't matter who's playing quarterback. If your offensive line didn't open up holes, you got the best running back in the country. He can't run. He can't do anything. I don't think it mattered which one was playing.
Now, during the overtime, it was either the first or second play, Uiagalelei got ambushed. It wasn't his fault. The pass rush was overwhelming. He had hardly any time. He took a big sack, and obviously that put them in deficit yardage and made the probability of them coming back to score points, score a touchdown, very low. Maybe Trevor sees that as split second sooner, gets rid of the ball, and saves the down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's one DJ's got to get rid of. I mean, but like you said, he had very little time to see it and do it. He's a freshman still. As good as he is, he's a freshman. But yeah, I just that's one play in an entire game, and then they come right back and sack him on the next play too. Come right straight through. So, I mean, it in the grand scheme of things, I just don't think it made that much difference.
I think a lot of football fans watch too much Brady, Brees, and Rodgers on Sundays, and 90% of the passes are perfect. And to hold these guys to that kind of standard is just ridiculous. And then to hold the rest of the college football quarterbacks up to the Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence standard is a bit ridiculous, but that's the day and age in which we live. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down Clemson. The Tigers off this week. They've got a bye. They look forward to Florida State on November 21st. Join me on Patreon, 16-4 against the spread with our picks. We got watch parties, and we also have exclusive live streams coming your way there. And also, as you see on the crawl below, Christmas is coming. Shop Amazon. Use the link in the description section below. Help us build the channel. We got Jason Priester on the line from SI's platform for Clemson football, allclemson.com. All right, 47-40. Doesn't take a football genius to figure out that maybe the defense had something to do with the loss. We saw busted plays all over the place. Talk about the gaffes on defense, but also these reinforcements that should be coming at some part with Skowski and Jones and Davis and how much they're missed.
Yeah, I really thought Tyler Davis would be back in time for this game, the big defensive tackle. He's really the core of Clemson's run defense. Without him in there, that's a big loss by itself. Then you take out Skowski. Then you take out Mike Jones Jr., who's going to be the guy covering those tight ends a lot in pass coverage. Notre Dame did an excellent job of utilizing some mismatches they were able to get on the freshman Trenton Simpson, who played Mike Jones Jr. place. And as good as Trenton Simpson's going to be, he was a five-star guy. He's going to be a fantastic football player, but he's just not quite there yet. He's not quite on Jones's level. And it showed the other night. His inexperience showed up at times. He took some bad angles. He's just not there yet. But to me, it all starts and stops with Tyler Davis and that run defense. I think with Davis in, Notre Dame doesn't have quite the success they did running the football. And I got a feeling we're going to see a rematch in December. And that theory will get put to the test because I fully expect Davis and all those guys to be back by then.
Oh, yes. Let's get to the rematch here. Notre Dame Clemson should rematch in Charlotte. Now there is football to be played, and we see upsets every week. Clemson usually has that one loss or one near miss has been kind of the pattern from 2015, but you kind of figure that was the BC game. And so they probably have that hiccup out of the way, and they avoided the loss there. They took on a very game Notre Dame team that looks the part as a top 5 to 10 team in the nation, and lost a dramatic, tremendous game in South Bend. All right, the rematch in Charlotte. How do you think that might look different 4 or 5 weeks from now?
I think it might, because, I mean, not only was Clemson, and I hate to talk about injuries because it sounds like an excuse, but, I mean, the fact is they were missing 3 guys on that defense coming into the game. They lost 2 offensive linemen in the game. They lost both starting safeties in the game. That's a lot to overcome. You get those guys back, and I think it's a little bit different. Brent Venables was really handcuffed a lot of what he could do defensively with having so few hands on deck, so to speak. He's an aggressive guy. He's going to stay aggressive. I've seen a lot of fans griping about the blitz on 3rd and long late. That's who he is, though. He's gonna come after the quarterback, especially on 3rd and long. And even if he might not have the normal personnel that he is used to working with, that's what he's going to do. And he's going to live and die by it, and it bit him that night. I mean, Kieran Williams did a fantastic job of picking up the blitz for Notre Dame that night. Clemson was not able to get home with it. That offensive line of theirs is just fantastic. Probably the best in college football. They just weren't able to get the book, and when they were able to get to him, they left some running lanes open. Another thing about Davis not being in there, you know, that some inexperience leaves some running lanes open, and Book makes plays with his feet and beats you that way.
And Jason, there's always this strategy factor in a rematch that the team that won, how do they adjust? What do they do? Not that they played a perfect game, but they won the game, so they made more plays. So do they really want to vary from that, or just to continue to do what worked? Where the team that lost can look at the game film and say, well, we screwed up here, here, and there. Let's fix these things. And so there's less to fix for the winning team, and the counter punch goes almost in the favor of the team that lost the game, as long as they're a two competitive team, which of course in this case is definitely the case with Clemson and Notre Dame. Should be just fascinating. We know that Notre Dame goes to North Carolina on a Friday night after Thanksgiving. That could be a bit tricky. Clemson's path looks pretty good. Of course, Florida State is way off its game and has been for 3 years now. That's the next game coming up for the Clemson Tigers on November 21st. Again, like, comment, share the videos on social media. Subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Lock it in to our Clemson channel as well. Jason, we appreciate you stopping by to break down the Tigers for us.
Hey, anytime, Mark. Thanks for having me.